when your rib hat is about 8.5 inches from the cast on down here to just below your needle, you're going to start the decreases. Now round one, we start at the beginning of the round. That's why we have the stitch marker to help us know when to start things. It says to knit 2, purl 1, knit 2 together. And we've disappeared one of the purl stitches, and it's almost impossible to tell. Then knit 1, purl 2. So that's one repeat. There should be 7 stitches, 2, 4, 6, 7. And now we start from that asterisk again. Knit 2, purl 1, knit 2 together. Knit 1 and purl 2, and that's a second repeat. You could put markers in between each of these repeats so that you know exactly where you start, or you can just go as you are. The next row, you're just knitting in pattern. There is a row instruction that says knit 2, purl 1, knit 2, purl 2, but basically you just need to knit the knits and purl the purls. You don't even need to follow that. If you do follow it, at least for the first round, it will give you confidence that you've done the previous row correctly. This row needs to be repeated for about 1 inch. To see if you have an inch of this worked, you can either go to your stitch marker and, ooh, that looks like I almost have an inch, since I moved the stitch marker to the back when I started decreasing, or you can find one of the decreases right there and just measure from there. I have, at the end of this round, I will have an inch. I can measure from where I started the decreases and moved my marker, or I can find one of my decreases right there, because we've gone from 2 purls to 1, and measure from there. And I have 1 inch worked. So now I'm going to start my next set of decreases, but you'll notice that the stitches are getting a little bit tight. With a whole bunch of stitches more gone, it's going to get tighter. So now I'm going to switch to working with double pointed needles. All I do is I keep these stitches on my circular needle and work right off of the circular needle. My next decrease instruction is to slip 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and knit 2 together. Sorry, I make my purl stitches a little bit differently than most people, and so I have to do a little finagling there. So, knit 1, the repeat is knit 1, purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and then I knit 2 together, but I have to reset my purl stitch, knit 2 together. So again, this one's getting full. I probably should have switched earlier, but I can always adjust that. Knit 1, purl 1, knit 2, purl 1, and then I'm knitting the knit and the purl together. Knit 2 together, I pick up another needle. I like to work with 5 needles, that is 4 holding the stitches and 1 for working the stitches. Lots of people prefer to work with 4 needles, 3 holding the stitches and the 4th needle working the stitches. You'll have to see what's most comfortable for you. Alright, so now we're at the last couple of stitches. I purl 1, and now I need to knit 2 together, but I only have the 1 purl stitch left. However, remember we slipped the first stitch of the round, so we're going to now knit that last purl together with that first slipped stitch. And then we're going to do a round of knit the knits and purl the purls. Again, it's written out, the instructions are written out so that you can double check to make sure that you've done the decreases correctly on the previous row. Now I'm going to work with the 5 needles. On the previous round, after our last decrease round, we moved the knit 2 together, the stitch marker to the after the knit 2 together, and now we're going to start the next decrease round. And here we're doing a knit 1, purl 1, knit 2 together, purl 1, and knit 2 together. We only have 1 knit stitch on this needle, so we're going to have to do a little bit of maneuvering. Normally I like to have my needles divide between 2 knit stitches, but in this case that doesn't make a lot of sense because we're going to be doing knit 2 togethers on this round and the next round. So I'm going to make sure that I don't end up dividing my needles between 2 knit stitches. Two together, purl. And I'm just going to move this stitch over here so that it's ready for next time. I knit 2 together on the last rib, knit rib. So now I'm going to knit 2, purl, knit 2 together, purl, knit 2, purl, and then move this. I can just knit that one, and we're at the end of our round. Now we do a round of knit the knits and purl the purls. If you don't have DPNs and you happen to have 2 sets of circulars, I'm going to show you how to work that. So we're now on another decrease round. We're going to slip the first stitch. I'm going to slip it onto this needle the DPN, because we're going to work that together. I'm going to move my marker, and I'm going to purl one. This is round 7, so I'm going to purl one, knit one, purl one, and I knit 2 together. And now I'm going to get my other circular needle of the same size, and I'm going to purl one, knit one, purl one, and I've got about half of the stitches on each, but it doesn't have to be exactly half. Then knit 2 together, and I get to the end of the round, and here is my slip stitch along with the last knit stitch of the round. So I knit those 2 together, and I've transferred my stitches onto 2 circular needles. Okay, so now we're going to work a round of knitting the knits and purling the purls. There are instructions that you can follow. So I purl one, knit one, purl one, knit one. You'll notice that I'm working with the same needle on each side. So when there is a wooden needle, when the stitches are being held on the wooden needle or the bamboo needle, I am using the bamboo needle to knit with. When I get to the end of that, I let that needle hang. I turn it around. I bring this needle through so that the stitches are on the needle. And I start working here. My first stitch is a purl, knit, and I continue until the end. Okay, that round is done. Now I let this side hang on the plastic needle, and I come over to this side, and this is another decrease row. I knit 2 together, purl one, knit one, knit 2 together, purl one, knit one, and knit 2 together. And I don't have to stop in the middle of a repeat. So I've just done a purl 2 together. So the next stitch is a purl. It was hiding back here. I was like, oh, purl, knit 1, knit 2 together, purl, knit 1, and knit 2 together. Purl and knit 1, and that's the end of the repeat. And now see how small that circle is. Now we do a round of knit the knits and purl the purls, or in this case, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, 1, purl 1, knit 1, knit 1, This is a little awkward and there's a lot of maneuvering, but it works, and it's only for a few rounds. And now we're going to be working just the decrease rows. So now the next row is a knit 1, knit 2 together, so we're completely getting rid of the purl stitches at this point. Knit 2 together, knit 1, knit 2 together, knit 1 and knit 2 together. Now we are down to complete knit stitches all the way around. I'm going to do that the last round, and we're just knitting 2 together, knitting 2 together. We've run out of stitches here, so I'm just going to pick it up and slide it onto this needle, hang this needle down, knit 2 together, knit 2 together, and knit 2 together. We have 6 stitches left. It'll take you longer because you have thinner yarn, and this will all be smoother looking. I cut my end. Put it on the needle, on the tapestry needle, and now I'm going to go through, oh, I'm sorry, there are 5 stitches. In this case, go through those 2 stitches, go through them in the same order as you would knit them. So then I go to this end of this needle, and I slip the stitches onto the tapestry needle. Then I go through one more time. All the way around. Before I pull the last loop, I pull on the one that came out before, pull it snug, and poke it down the center, and then we'll weave it in on the inside. If you stretch it and it doesn't stretch enough to get on your head, just weave this end in, and when you wear it, weave it with the notch, wear it with the notch toward the back. If there is enough room, you can seam that together. You want the seam on the outside this time because you will be wearing this hat, or whoever will be wearing this hat will be wearing it with the brim up, and you don't want the seam showing there. Then sew in any ends, and you're done. Hope this helps.